Good evening. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. Thank you. The SNP have followed suit with the Irish government and the British government in saying that the people flying the flags, raising the colours, are not patriots. They are bad, bad people. They are evil, vile, racists. And I think that's quite funny coming from Nicola Sturgeon, who was the person with Alex Salmond trying to rip Scotland out of the United Kingdom due to their hatred of the English. Not the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland and Wales never got a mention in the separatist referendum. Always remember that. It was about hatred of England. The SNP was founded on the nationalist movements of the 1930s from continental Europe. That's where the SNP was founded. Alright? It's about the hatred of the English, and with Humza Yousaf, the biggest racist in Britain, hatred of the dominant demographic on these islands. I'm going to play this video first of all from hapless Humza Yousaf explaining his views about the Saltire being flown in the Raise the Colours movement.
Wrapping prejudice in a saltire doesn't make it patriotism. Our saltire doesn't belong to a few angry voices. It's the flag that flies above Holyrood, over Hampden, above our schools. It belongs to everyone who calls Scotland their home.
Just, he's got a major problem with it if you're white and you're English. Always remember that.
Be a symbol of welcome, not a warning sign. It should be a promise that whoever you are, wherever you've come from, you belong here. Unfortunately, a small minority have tried to hijack it, waving it not in pride, but in anger.
The Saltire was appropriated by the SNP. They depict themselves as the Party of Scotland. They are not the Party of Scotland. They are a party of division, separatism, and a very, very narrow, warped view of what they think Scotland should be. You'll find this with lots of people, whether they are saying you should only fly the flag of St. George if the Lionesses are playing, or during the World Cup, or you should only fly the Union Jack for the Jubilee or official British occasions. This is exactly the same thing that the SNP and the shit that they're trying to pull here. And it's the same thing the Irish government is trying to do with the tricolour. In the Republic, they're trying to say if people are doing this to the tricolour, you're an English nationalist, which isn't true. There are many tricolours. The French tricolour is for France. The Irish tricolour is for Ireland. The specific reason you have a flag is to differentiate. That's why the Welsh flag here is not the English flag here, or the British flag there. They are different. They are exclusive and specific for particular reasons.
To intimidate, to blame. Let me be clear. Hate wrapped in a saltire is still hate.
Is Humza useless? The guy, when he was Transport Secretary in Scotland, was driving around in his little car without car insurance. Is this low IQ individual trying to tell you how to fly your flag? I think he is. And I think he's quite dumb.
That is not Scotland. It's not who we are. Real patriotism isn't about who you shut out. It's about what we build together as a nation.
Almost like he's saying we're better together, wouldn't you say, Scots? He's saying that the English and the Scots should unite and maybe form a, I don't know, United Kingdom of Great Britain.
It's the nurses and carers from all different walks of life here, keeping us alive, well and healthy.
I'm going to pull at this thread once again. The reason why we are not raising enough native-born nurses and doctors, medical professionals in this United Kingdom is the BMA, the British Medical Association, the doctors' trade union essentially, put a quota on, put a criterion on how many doctors and nurses can come through each year in British medical school. And they did it to keep their industry exclusive. They like having a protected wage. They like having a protected class of worker. It's funny you get all these lanyard classes, and they're very into protectionism when it's their narrow piece of the pie they are protecting. When it's just the nationals, when it's just the patriots saying, well, we think Britain, England, Scotland, Wales should be for the native people, that, of course, is racism, and they don't like that. Or at least they like to call it as racism. Maybe they should be less inclusive when it comes to the country and more inclusive when it comes to their specific industries. Just some thoughts.
It's shopkeepers opening their doors, creating jobs, creating wealth. It's volunteers running youth clubs and football teams, usually in the rain. Many were born elsewhere, but all of them carry this nation in their hearts.
They carry our benefits in their pockets as well. Always remember that. Abdul from Kabul wouldn't be here unless we were paying him. 86% of visas issued by the British government last year were not for work. They were for study, they were for dependents, they were for hangers-on, and they are not net contributors to the state. They are net drains, they are detriments to the state. Instead of importing the entire world and their uncle to the United Kingdom, instead of importing the dinghy divers from France that have no right to be in the United Kingdom, maybe encourage native people to have more children. Maybe if you've got a ballooning state, you should shrink the state. But then the lanyard classes, the champagne socialists, the people that are right on and are on the right side of things according to them, they wouldn't have a job that pays well and does nothing. That is why the lanyard class is one of the demographics that's protected by the Labour Party and the SNP in Scotland, because it's a parasitic relationship. It's a symbiotic parasitic relationship. They feed on each other. Without the other, they cease to exist.
So let's reclaim our flag. Pride, not prejudice. Belonging, not blaming. A symbol of welcome, not a weapon of fear.
Unless you're English.
Because if there's room at a ceilidh for every cousin, every neighbour, and the plus one who usually turns up, there's room under the Saltire for us all.
That's the thing. Okay, we'll hone on the last bit that he said there. The Saltire is for all. Then you have no business presupposing what people are flying the flag for. It could be a multitude of reasons. You'll make an assertion because it's not been clearly defined that it's for a particular purpose. Some people may be flying it for those reasons. Some people might be flying it because they like the flag. Some people may be flying it because they think, well, it's my flag, I'll do what I want with it. Take this guy. This is down in Cheshire, by the way. This is his back garden. It's not mine. Is this too much, or is this not enough? You tell me. This is in Cheshire, as I say, in the north of England. Union Jack upside down. Someone's already told me that. I'm aware of that. I'm debating whether knocking on his door would be inappropriate because he's being patriotic in my view, but by telling him that he's doing it wrong, he might get offended. And then you look at the Royal Standard underneath. Technically, that's the highest ranking flag in this United Kingdom. It should only be flown when the monarch is in residence, and I don't think Charlie Boy is in the house. And it's also below the Union Jack, which is, again, it's a big no-no from protocol point of view. However, people walking past this, as I say, the liberal leftards that we have in every single family, they would assume that this person is a racist, bigoted gammon. What they do, and this is the left in general, they do it all the time, they will do what they argue the right does all the time. They will say, you cannot brand all migrants as benefit scroungers. As I've clearly said, I'm not blaming all migrants as benefit scroungers. I'm claiming 86% of them are benefit scroungers. Alright? The left never do this. They will have an association. They will have a predetermined opinion of the people who are flying these flags, and they won't deviate from it. They'd rather you cut you out of their life, their social circles, cancel you, make you unemployed, unlife you like they did to Charlie Kirk in America, rather than have the debate, lose the argument because their worldview collapses and they're made to look really pathetic. Anyway, we'll continue with the flag. As I said, we've got the Union Jack, we've got the England flag, we've got an army flag, and we've got a Royal Standard. This tells me that he's proud to be British, proud to be English, maybe serviceman, and is pro-royal family. That's what those flags tell me. Not saying fuck off foreigners, alright? That's not what the flags are saying. That's the assumption people are making. And then we look at this one here. This one is probably the best. These are the flags over on the M8, which is the motorway that connects Glasgow to Edinburgh currently. Just the rampant line and the Saltires. Could have had a few Union Jacks in there, but we can't ask for miracles. This is the Central Belt. This is SNP territory. What you would normally see is a big, god-awful yes symbol in the middle of these Saltires. That's what you would normally see. Not on these, because they're not nationalists, or not nationalists in the way that they think, or the SNP would want them to be. Now you've got the head of Glasgow Council, I think her name is Susan Aitken. She's saying she's going to remove the tatty Saltires. What she defines as tatty is neither here nor there. Lorinda Kaur once claimed she's obviously a Big Brother no mark and a anti-racist or a white racist. She claims that she feels more at home in India than she does in England. Well, that's on her. I would never say she's not English because she was born in Newcastle. Unfortunately, we are where we are. A lot of people will say deport, 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 deport. I'm not one of them. But conversely, she'd probably say she'd rather deport all the gammons like me and take 1 million migrants from Dover that have hopped over from France, which is obviously a war-torn country, and they're fleeing persecution. That's the thing. We are where we are. Now, the nationalists need to get a grip. It's Scotland taking its flag back. Just like we're taking the flags back down in this part of the United Kingdom, and the Irish are taking the flag back in their country as well. All things being equal, we need to unite under one banner with this, and we need to get behind our flags, promote our culture, promote our country. It's no accident that the United Kingdom is the best country in the world. That's no accident, it's because of its people. And contrary to popular belief, we are not a nation of migrants. We have never been a nation of migrants. I believe in my country. I believe in the nation state. Now, if you think the SNP are just trying to pull a fast one here, you let me know. You let me know, do you believe Nicola Sturgeon's fishy assertions that she's not much for flag waving? Doesn't ring true. As always, your mileage may vary. Like and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. If you have family members telling you that they want nothing to do with you because of your political views, does that say more about them, or does that say more about you? I would never dream of wanting to cut anybody out of my life because of my political views or their political views. That's really, really lame. I appreciate your time, you have a good day, and thank you for watching.